Super Mario Brothers 3. He's looking at the back of the box. I love that all of the kids are staring at this because that's the way it was with Super Mario Brothers 3. I mean, this thing was hot stuff. Everybody wanted to play that game. What's up, guys? It's your buddy Tyler coming at you with a brand new video here on My Retro Life. And not long ago, I asked the community here on My Retro Life to send me your photos, your cherished memories from Christmases and birthdays with video games, video game consoles, or anything video game related that brings that warm, fuzzy feeling. You know, those nostalgia berries. We're going to take a look at all of the photos that you guys submitted to me, and honestly, I can't wait to get into it. But first, a word about this video's sponsor, Surfshark. It's summertime, so naturally, when I play Nintendo games, I usually fire up Jaws on the NES for some summertime vibes. And ultimately, this gets me wanting to watch one of my dad's favorite movies, Jaws. But alas, Jaws is not available on Netflix in the United States. Whatever shall I do? Luckily, there's another shark in the water to help us surf the content we crave, Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN that swaps the real location of your device with a new one. This way, you can virtually travel to any country around the globe, like, say, the UK, where lo and behold, Jaws is available on Netflix for your summertime viewing pleasure. This way, if you're playing a licensed Nintendo game like Jaws and suddenly feel like watching the movie, with Surfshark, it's smooth sailing. And it's not just Jaws. There's tons of content on Netflix that you have access to using a VPN like Surfshark. Sign up today and enter promo code MyRetroLife to get 3 free months. Just go to surfshark.deals/MyRetroLife. With Surfshark, it's finally safe to go back into the water. Now, this first photo we're going to take a look at is actually the one that sparked the idea for me ever even doing a video like this, where we take a look at your memories. Symbol, the rapper, submitted it to me on Twitter. He is holding, in this photograph, the exact same Nintendo action set that I got as a small child in 1989 underneath my Christmas tree.
What's this, Tyler? Nintendo.
When I look at this photo, I just immediately am transported back to when I got my Nintendo. And I just love the expression on his face. It's that look of pride and joy. He's like, yeah, I got my Nintendo. Now, this next one comes from Steve McCall, and I just love this photo, guys. Here we have Steve and his friends, possibly his siblings, and they're all gathered around Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the arcade, the original arcade cabinet. And it looks like they're at either a pizza place or maybe like a Chuck E. Cheese. I can't quite make it out, but it definitely looks like a family restaurant. Now, Steve also sent me another photo, guys, and I really love this one too. As you can see, they are playing Nintendo, the original NES. And what do we see here on the screen? I could make it out. And I actually, when I look at this, I immediately see that this is a wrestling ring. It's that diamond-shaped wrestling ring from WrestleMania Challenge, WWF WrestleMania Challenge. All right, we're going to switch things up here. This next photograph was sent to me by John Cornwell, and John is featured here with, it looks like, his sister, Santa Claus, and a giant doll. And I'm sorry to say, that doll looks really creepy to me. But what isn't creepy is the Atari 7800 that John is holding. That is absolutely fabulous. The fact that this photograph has so much going on in it, and you've got John with the look on his face. He looks like he would much rather be actually playing his Atari 7800 than sitting there on, obviously, a family member dressed as Santa Claus. Oh my gosh, this is a golden photo. And really, John, I gotta thank you for submitting this because it puts a big smile on my face. John writes to me that this was his first gaming console, 1989. All right, let's jump into some Sega photos. Yeah, this next one, Paige sends us this photograph, and it's really, really an awesome one because obviously I can really relate to the whole gaming with dad thing. And here we see Paige sitting there with dad, and they're playing a Sega Genesis. You see that in the bottom left corner. They're sitting on their carpet. And if you look at the TV, which is built into that wonderful entertainment center with the wood grain, old school, you see they are playing Tiny Toon Adventures, Buster's Hidden Treasure, which is a great hidden gem, if you ask me, on the Sega Genesis. I really love that game. Great platformer. And yeah, it's very clear. You can see that they're playing that game. I love that when some of these photos have come into me, sometimes it's hard to make out what's on the screen, like the last photo we looked at. But in this photo, it's very clear they are playing Buster's Hidden Treasure. Next, we have a photo submitted by Tracy over at Minus World Video Games. What we have here is a picture of Tracy and his brothers playing Super Nintendo back in the day. And what I love about this photo is how the Super Nintendo games are laid out on the carpet. It was like these are the ones that they were going to be switching between. You always used to pick out the games that you really wanted to play in that session with your friends or your brothers or sisters, and you laid them out or kept them close by because you would be interchanging them in and out of your console. This is what Tracy and his brothers are doing. And I just love it. Look at the expression on Tracy's face. If that is, in fact, Tracy playing the unit at this time, he is mesmerized. He is in the game zone right here. That is the look all of us had when we were playing these games back in the day. Focus, bewilderment, in complete awe of what was going on, and just honed in on the game at hand, trying our best to win. I bet this was an intense situation in the game that Tracy was playing. Unfortunately, the Super Nintendo on the floor is faced away from us. Man, what a great photo with a great old school living room. Old school aesthetic all around. Love this photo. All right, guys, we've been in the 8-bit and 16-bit era with these photos up until this point right here. We're going to go kick it back super old school with this photo sent in by Joe Cutroni. Joe sends us a photograph of him with his ColecoVision. Now, this is so cool. It's a dual photograph shot here that he sent me. 2 photos, one of him opening the console and another of him holding the console proudly. There he is with his ColecoVision. I love how this is a few years back, even before I was born, Christmas of 1982. And actually, Joe shares a little bit of context for us right here with this. He says, I never had an Atari 2600 nor an Intellivision growing up, although lots of friends and family had them, and I was able to play them often. Fast forward to Christmas 1982. After begging for a ColecoVision for months, since seeing it being promoted, I opened 4 games on Christmas Eve, but no system. My parents told me the games were an incentive to save up for the system. I opened the games and were reading the instruction booklets, resorting to the fact that I wouldn't be able to play the games. But 15 minutes later, Dad walked in saying, I forgot one more present in my car, and gave me the present. My expression says it all. And I love that context because honestly, guys, hearing that, it reminds me of the kind of stuff that my dad and my mom did for me with games. It's so special, Joe. That's so special. And I want to thank you so much for submitting this photo because I found your description of this photograph very touching. I really did. I love this. I love seeing the look on your face, especially knowing how exciting that must have been to have your parents suddenly surprise you after 15 minutes thinking that all of the gifts were open. Here is the ColecoVision to play the games on. You didn't have to save up. They had it waiting in the wings for you, Joe. That's awesome. And your parents rock. All right, now we're going forwards in time about 7 years to February of 1990 with an amazing set of photographs that Extra Zero submitted to the show. And in these photographs, we see Extra Zero. It looks like it's his birthday party, and he has just received a legendary Nintendo game, Super Mario Bros. 3. I love the look on his face. He looks so happy to have just gotten that. There's a big smirk on his face. He's looking at the back of the box, and it looks like a friend or maybe a brother is also holding the game. You know, I love that all of the kids are staring at this photo because that's the way it was with Super Mario Bros. 3. I mean, this thing was hot stuff. Everybody wanted to play that game. But look at the kids. They are all honed in on that Super Mario Bros. 3 game. And you know they want to go to his house and play that game. Birthday party over. Let's go play Super Mario Bros. 3. That's it. There's no other gift that we're getting today that's going to top this at all. But that's not it, guys. Extra Zero also submitted some other photos that I really think we should take a look at. There they are, laying there on the floor, probably not long after he got Super Mario Bros. 3 on that birthday. And man, he is going to town with that NES Advantage controller. When you owned an NES Advantage, you meant business. My cousin Manny owned an NES Advantage. In fact, that was the first time I ever saw one of those controllers. And Manny, he was the king of games. Of course, he was going to be using the NES Advantage. That controller was the controller for the pros. And between the two photographs, an incredible picture is painted, and you can almost see the story unfold. All right, guys, this next one comes from a friend of the show. Sean Kennedy sent this in. Sean is an old friend of mine. We've known each other for years. In fact, Sean was somebody I collaborated with on some of the earliest videos I ever did on YouTube almost 13 years ago. It's crazy. Sean and his brother Brian are featured in this photo, and I just love it because this isn't a Nintendo photo. This isn't a, Sega photo. Well, actually, it kind of is a Sega photo. Sonic Jam on the Gamecom. We're talking the Tiger Gamecom. How many kids got a Tiger Gamecom back in the late 90s, yet alone have a photograph of them with it? He actually writes to me here. He says, I have a pic here from Christmas Eve 1996 at my grandparents' house. They got us a Gamecom with Sonic Jam. I remember it looked amazing in the screenshots, but in motion, it probably ran at like 5 frames per second. Yet we still managed to enjoy it somehow. What a crazy photograph, and what a great memory, Sean, that you have with Brian. All right, this next one comes from Derek, and I really love this one because I can really relate to receiving a Mega Man game on the NES and the thrill of getting Mega Man games back in the day. It was my favorite franchise for a long time. But here we see Derek, and he's receiving for Christmas Mega Man, the original Mega Man on the NES, the very first one. And just look at that expression on his face. His parents took the photograph at just the right time, and he is just in awe. He's in shock, so surprised that he just received Mega Man on the NES. You can tell this is a kid who already played the game, maybe at a friend's house or at a store kiosk in a department store somewhere, because he already knows. He just opened this game and he already knows that it's a killer title. This must have been an awesome Christmas for Derek, and he's got the photograph to back it up. The next one comes to us from Marcelo over at GameCube Galaxy, and of course, fitting with the name, this is Marcelo getting his original Nintendo GameCube. It looks like on Christmas morning, and he couldn't be happier. I think it's awesome. He's got the black Nintendo GameCube. That wasn't the one that I got. I had the atomic purple, or just purple, I guess it was. This one is the black unit, and Marcelo, just the biggest smile on his face. Really great shot of Nintendo in a different era than we've seen throughout this whole video. This is the GameCube era. It's amazing to me because that was over 20 years ago, and we can officially call this, retro. It's amazing. Nintendo GameCube is retro, guys. wild. Here's a photo from Adrian, Tony, and Alex. And as you can see in the photo, they are holding up their newly acquired Super Nintendo Entertainment System with Super Mario All-Stars inside. Now, what's interesting about this is it looks like Nintendo just took the old stock rather than have an entirely new box. They just slapped a sticker on the front, and obviously they put Super Mario All-Stars, they bundled it in with the system. But man, I love this photo because I love the fact that all three of them are holding up the unit together. It's like mom and dad said, okay, now guys, everybody pick up the system. Everybody hold it together, because this probably was the big ticket item for them that Christmas. So I'm sure his parents wanted them to all hold the unit. And it's so funny because they look like they don't want to be taking the photograph. They would rather be playing the Super Nintendo. Great shot here. I just love seeing photos like this and seeing other people my age enjoying the video games of our youth. I know that with my video catalog, with all of the amazing videos that my dad recorded of me as a kid with video games, I know that that's a really rare thing. I know that that's something that so many of you don't have. Maybe you only have the photographs. And it's super awesome for me to really take a step back and stop looking at my retro life and instead take a look at yours. I was so thrilled to receive all of the submissions that I got in this episode. And really, I want to thank each and every one of you who submitted something. I didn't get to all of the photos. There were many more submissions that I got. I was blown away by how many of you participated in this. If you want to be a part of this new ongoing series that I'm doing here on My Retro Life, definitely send your submission to myretrolife@aol.com with the subject My Retro Photo or My Retro Video if it's a video that you're submitting to the show. All right, guys, this was so awesome. I want to thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I love talking about my game crazy family and all of the amazing adventures we had with video games, so many of which were caught on tape by my dad. I'm Tyler with My Retro Life. I'll catch you next time.